Coming? Okay. We have the video. Did? Okay. It's okay. It looks like he's troubleshooting it, so. Yeah, I think he got the audio, just not the video. Hey. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're calling this meeting of the West Valley Water District Board of Directors to order. It is 6:43 in the p.m. And we'll go ahead and start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Director Garcia, would you lead us in the pledge? Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're joined by Pastor Young of Loveland Church. Pastor Young, if you can please lead our invocation. Maybe Pastor Townsend, if you would be so kind as to do our invocation. Okay. Yeah, please unmute yourself if you would mind leading us in our invocation. Well, I hate to lean on you again, but would you mind leading us in the invocation?
All right. Bow your heads with me. Is he there? Pastor Townsend, you there?
He's on. He's having audio issues.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh,
All right.
there you are. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. We are ready?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Well, I think Pastor Young, are you on?
We're ready to get started.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you
In the
wouldn't
name
mind.
of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He made heaven and earth. We greet you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, West Valley Water District, Pastor Reginald Young. Good evening. Let us thank and praise God this evening as we gather. Let his anointing be with us. Let us pray. Father, we worship you and recognize you are with us on tonight. We pray a special blessing on the board president and the board members and all those who receive your blessing through the water. We invoke your presence over this meeting. May all things be done decent and in order. Work things out in the agenda so that you get the glory. In your son's name we pray, Jesus. All that agreed, they said amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Young.
Yes. Thank you again.
All right. Madam Secretary, roll call of the members.
Thank you, President Young. At this time, I'd like to take an oral roll call and request that each board member respond with present when their name is called. Director Garcia?
Present.
Director Hawkins?
Present.
Director Moore?
Here.
Vice President Jenkins?
Present.
And President Young.
Present.
All board members are present. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So now we'll go into the adoption of the agenda. We have an agenda before us. Do we have any motions on the agenda?
I motion to adopt the agenda.
All right, we have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, first by Vice President Jenkins, a second by Director Hawkins. Any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, let's call the roll.
Thank you. We'll do an oral vote. Director Garcia,
Yes.
Director Hawkins,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins,
Yes.
President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, public participation.
Members of the public may participate and give public comment in one of four ways. In person at West Valley Water District's Administrative Boardroom located at 855 West Baseline Road, Rialto, California, 92376, by filling out a public comment card and submitting it to the board secretary prior to the start of the public comment period. Via telephone by calling the following number and access code, dialing 888-475-4499, access code 840-293-7790. Via Zoom, access code 840-293-7790, or submitting an email to the board secretary prior to the start of the meeting to administration@wvwd.org. Thank you.
All right, have we received any public participation?
We have received none via the administration email or in person. Don't know if anybody on Zoom would like to give public comment.
All right, if any members of the public would like to address the body, now is that time. Please either unmute yourself or raise your hand icon on the Zoom.
Hi, again, this is Pastor Reginald Young. I want to first thank the board members and the president for your continued service. It's so important that we guard our water supply in times that we are going through. And because of your diligence, I believe we not only are reserving our water, but we're being creative to generate additional sources. So again, I just want to just thank the governing board.
All right, thank you so much for your kind words, Pastor. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay, seeing no one else, we'll go ahead and we'll close public participation at this time. All right, that brings us to presentations. Mr. General Manager? You
We have
wanna
a
introduce?
presentation by Socorro.
Good evening, President Young, Vice President Jenkins, and Board of Directors. This evening, I am presenting on West Valley Water District's Smart Irrigation Marketing Campaign. We're having.
I think they're still trying to get it up for you. In the meantime, it looks like it's Christmas. It's Christmas in July up here. We got these little boxes.
It is. So I'll kind of touch base on that. Part of our marketing campaign. So with Smart Irrigation Month being July, we want to really make this the kickstart of our conservation campaign. I know we mentioned this last time. Our Water Saving Starts With You conservation box. We did revamp the sign-up sheet that customer service will be providing to our customers, as well as the community. So this year's focus to really get that box out to our ratepayers, and it comes in there with some shower heads, faucet aerators, kitchen aerators, toilet tabs, I believe a toilet bank, and some other hose. Yes, one of those. But I think the blue one's in there. Actually, the green ones were provided to us by Inland Empire Utilities Agency as a courtesy for Smart Irrigation Month.
So, yeah, I didn't even get a blue one in mine.
You
It's missing.
did not get a blue one?
Oh, you can have mine, Greg.
Oh, that's okay. You guys. Somebody stole mine.
That's part of the package,
Someone took my chair.
of the board package.
Okay.
He's still
All right.
trying
Well,
to-
I will just kind of emphasize then. So like I mentioned, July is considered to be one of the warmest months of the year, and agencies in the water industry and irrigation companies come together to increase public awareness of the value of water use efficiency during summer's peak demand. So part of that, we're going to be doing a social media campaign in July, sharing videos with our customer service department. Oh, there it is.
There it is, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Next. There we go. Next slide. So this year's theme is, what's the value of smart irrigation? 3 key messages this year is water conservation starts with you, which is the box we provided. We also kind of tune it with, in Spanish, El cuidado del agua empieza contigo campaign. Second message is smart irrigation practices are essential, and emphasizing the advantage of irrigation rebates with West Valley Water District. So with water conservation starts with you, that our first key message is taking responsibility for the water you use. You hold the power to save both water and money. Second message is water is a finite source, and we must do future generations have adequate water supply. And water conservation is a way of life for all living in California, whether we're in a drought or not. Next slide. Message number 2 is smart irrigation practices are essential. So part of it is also emphasizing that smart irrigation creates green spaces when people can play around and stay active, providing health benefits in the community. Using smart irrigation options like weather and soil moisture-based controllers that automatically adjust the watering schedule based on conditions at locations helps keep landscape healthy while using less water. And the third message is take advantage of irrigation rebates with West Valley Water District. So save money in smart irrigation upgrades by taking advantage of our rebate website and calling our customer service department for the water rebates and surveys. Next one. So overall strategy is to inform, to educate, and engage our customers and the community on how they can participate in Smart Irrigation Month. So tools and tactics that we'll be using is, of course, social media. We'll use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Nextdoor. So make sure if you don't follow us, share, because I know the more you message the community, the more they will follow us. Next one. Press releases. So we're also, next week, we're releasing a press release kind of highlighting this month and different tips and tools our customers can use. And as mentioned, we are doing giveaways as well. Our grand prize giveaway is a Ratio 8-zone controller. So throughout the month, we're doing different ways to enter to come to customer service, and you'll be entered to the raffle. As well as we're on the community, we'll be asking people to enter the raffle, and then social media. So there will be different ways, and at the end of the month, we'll raffle off that Ratio prize. So that was generously provided to us by Ratio. And other prizes include the hose nozzles that you see on the dais, the green ones. They were generously provided by Inland Empire Utilities Agency for Smart Irrigation Month. So we will be tagging them as part of the partnership in providing those hose nozzles. And so again, tactics are social media, word of mouth, and then collaborating with our customer service department to inform our customers that go into the lobby. Another tool is our outreach. So we're continuing messaging regarding giveaways, information and ways to save throughout in-person contact. So we're doing those in-house videos. Our July newsletter has that highlight as well. We're going out to the community events. We'll be at the Rialto Farmers Market next Wednesday in the day. And then we're looking for other community events so we can just be sharing that message throughout this month and really emphasizing on smart irrigation and different rebates that we have here at the district. And that concludes my presentation on Smart Irrigation Month. Are there any questions?
All right. Any questions for Socorro? Thank you so much for the presentation. It was really good. And thank you for all the little boxes. I think this is fantastic. And look, I think it'll be good things for our customers. So thank you so much. All right. Now we'll go into the consent calendar. So we have items 1 through 16 on the consent calendar. Are there any items that a director wishes to pull? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I'll motion to adopt the consent calendar.
All right, a first by Director Garcia. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Moore. Any discussion? Seeing none, go ahead and call the roll.
Thank you. Director Garcia,
Yes.
Director Hawkins,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins,
Yes.
and President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, so that now takes us to business matters. The first business matter is number 17.
Yeah, resolution and agreement for purchase and sale. Linda, can you present this to the board, please?
Yes. I just have a quick little presentation to show you to kind of explain this item. This item is a purchase and sale agreement for a piece of property that the district owns. Down in South Fontana, we have a new development coming in, and as you'll see on the screen here, their project takes over quite a large area. The strip of land in the middle is where the district has property with a 12-inch water line in it currently. As part of this development, they'll be developing several warehouses, which will go over top of where our current water line is. So they would like to purchase the property. They will construct a new water line within an easement for us and upsize the water line. And we will be entering into a water facilities infrastructure and installation agreement with them. There was an appraisal done of the property. The fair market value of the appraised property was $2,042,000. And we also had a temporary easement, which they've deposited the funds, and that will go towards the purchase of the property. So if the board approves the sale of the property, we would authorize that the agreement and purchase and sale for APN 0256-13-110 with IDL IL West Valley Logistics Center adopt a resolution declaring the parcel of land to be exempt surplus land, approving the sale of the parcel, and finding that these actions are exempt from the review under CEQA, and authorize the general manager to execute all necessary documents.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Linda?
Did you say, forgive me, did you say that we'll have an enlarged pipe placed?
Yes. So as part of the development, the 12-inch water line will be going away, and a new 24-inch water line will be constructed.
We're given fair market values, correct? Is what?
The property was appraised at fair market value of $2,042,000.
Is that the anticipated sale price?
That's correct.
Okay. However, you said that them currently being granted an easement, that the payments for them being granted that easement would be a part of?
They have deposited $100,000 for the temporary construction easement. We've received that money, and that would go towards.
Okay. Let me ask you this: when would the installation of the new pipe begin?
So with the temporary construction easement, that's why we entered into that, so that they could do grading work and construct the 24-inch water line. And so we would have both water lines, but only one in service, and then transfer one over before the buildings are constructed.
What's the timeline? Dates, I guess.
This is a fairly large project. We're probably looking, it'll take them over a year to construct all of this.
Okay. And during that year, what if there's a service interruption for whatever reason they're doing construction? What happens?
If there's an interruption in service, the pipeline will be repaired and put back into service.
Who pays for it?
They would pay for it.
And they're insured? Or okay. What about if there is interruption? Are we compensated for that interruption?
The interruption would be to the point where our crews could go in and fix it quickly. There would be minimal interruption.
Well, but in this case, unlike a pipe that's ours for servicing the public, we are now allowing them for the benefit of these developers to be able to have this pipe. And so want to know because our ratepayers would be paying for the crew to go out there, and we're
All-
doing something for their convenience right now.
Everything would be paid for by the development.
Oh,
yes.
okay. I just want to clarify if something goes wrong. The folks out in Bloomington and here in Rialto shouldn't be paying for these folks to make all this money.
Yeah, we have a list of fees that
Okay.
we charge in these type of events, but
Mhm.
I think to the point you had in your presentation, they're going to build the new
Concurrently,
line first.
yeah. Mhm.
Hook that up
Mhm.
before they even touch the existing one. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
they'll also be doing some modifications to our reservoir for the connection, the new connection.
Right. Now for the work crew for the new pipeline, who's overseeing that? And who's selecting that crew?
So the pipeline will be constructed by one of our pre-approved contractors.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be installed by the developer's cost, and
Mhm.
it'll be inspected by the West Valley Water District.
Is that pre-approved contractor pay prevailing wages?
Yes.
Okay. So it's sounding better.
Well, the 2 million plus the extra was pretty nice too.
Yeah.
And
well,
we get a bigger line out of it.
we get a bigger line.
Yeah.
We do. We
But our
do.
ratepayers deserve it.
Yeah.
Our ratepayers deserve it. We just
Yeah.
want to make sure the jobs
No,
stay
absolutely.
right
Yeah.
in
No, absolutely.
Fontana too. Everybody needs a nice new job to go along with it.
Yeah.
And then what kind of prod for these? I think you said warehouses. So for these warehouses, what's going in the warehouses?
I just provide the water. I'm not sure what's going in the warehouses.
Linda, let's put
Well,
the figure back up.
hold on.
The figure. Can you put the figure back up?
Hold on. Well, hold on one second. So this project has been approved, right? A city, Fontana?
That is correct.
And you're saying there's no idea of what's going to go in these warehouses? Is that what we're saying? There's no information readily available to know what kind of...
I believe they're spec warehouses, and
Uh-huh.
and once they're built, then they would lease them out or rent them or.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Legally, we have to provide it regardless of
No.
who's going in it.
Well, I'm not...
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm
Yeah.
just asking a question regarding what's going in there, right?
Yeah, I don't think the city even knows at this point.
Well,
that they
I'm
approved the
just
development.
asking a question. I just want to make sure that, as discharging my duty as a board member, that we ask the questions because members of the public want to know, particularly in that South Fontana area. I know the state and other individuals have been very interested in what's going on there, and I'm just
Well,
making
the county
sure.
was on this one too.
The county too, and the whole slew of people. So I want to make
Mhm.
sure when
Yeah.
somebody shows up, I ask the questions. So okay, that's my question.
Not a problem. Any other questions for Linda?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you please put the figure back up, Linda? So once the new pipeline is constructed, is there going to be access to the water retention?
Yes. So the exhibit is not shown absolutely correct. On the left side is Alder Road, Alder Avenue, and that's a road owned by the district, and that's how we would access the tank.
Okay, so we would still have access to the area even though they're providing us an easement for the new pipeline.
Correct. On the left side of the tank is a driveway approach that we own the land.
West side. Is that the west?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And they also, it comes off of Locust.
Would you mind turning on your microphone so folks can hear you at home? We can't hear you. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, so on Locust, Locust is the access point now?
No, currently we access our reservoir off of Alder Avenue, and we will continue to do so.
Okay.
Well, or were you asked about where the water hookup is?
Well, I'm
Or-
just looking at the map.
Or the street access?
Yes, I'm just looking at the
Okay.
map.
Yeah, the street access is Alder, but the red line is where the pipe is. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
No, so just to clarify, during the construction of the new pipeline, there will be no disruption to the residential community that is adjacent to the proposed project area?
That is correct. There will be no interruption in water service.
Okay. All right.
We'll anticipate.
Any other questions for Linda?
No, I don't know.
Duration of the time for getting that done. Timeline for getting that done. How long is that?
It's quite a large facility, and they're doing a lot of improvements, not only for water, but roadway improvements. It's going to be over a year.
Okay,
this
so there'll be
project.
some traffic disruption, a little bit. There'll
Are
be
you-
disruption in traffic as well, going down that street for
I
a
would
while.
assume there'd be a lot of traffic
Yeah.
in that area, yes.
Okay.
Here come the diesels.
Well, and the construction of this new line would probably precede any of the other building, because obviously our current line is in the way of one of their buildings. So our part will probably be done in the earlier stages of the project, but the whole project, you're saying, is going to take well over a year for them to develop all this.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other
All right.
questions?
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So we have an item before us to adopt the resolution agreement for the purchase and the sale of that number up there.
I'll make the
anybody-
motion.
Oh, we have a first. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. First by Director Garcia and second by Director Jenkins. Any discussion?
And just for the record, that includes the recommendations 1 through 3.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. Correct?
Yes, that's my
Okay.
motion.
Yes. Okay. If no discussion, go ahead and call the roll.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Garcia,
Yes.
Director Hawkins,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins,
Yes.
and President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right. Item 18.
Item 18, this is for revisions to Article 17 of the District Water Service Rules and Regulations. Joanne, please present this item to the board.
Thank you, General Manager. Good evening, Board Presidents and members of the Board. Joanne Chen, Director of Operations. The Water Service Rules and Regulations is our operating manual. All water service will be governed by these rules and regulations as stated or as amended by the Board of Directors. It sets rules and regulations for the sales, distribution, use of water, and cross connections. Our cross connection control program oversees and monitors the installation, testing, and maintenance of over 2,000 backflow preventers in our service area. Currently, a few provisions under Article 8 cover cross connections. In an effort to keep current with regulatory requirements, staff has proposed to devote an entire chapter, Article 17, to cover cross connections. Article 17 is intended to satisfy the requirements set forth by the State Water Resources Control Board. Key provisions include initial site inspection by staff to determine if backflow protection is required. If so, what kind of backflow preventer is required. Reduced pressure and double check assemblies, as you see on the screen, are the most common ones in our service area. Set timeline for compliance. Time extension is permitted to give customers more time to address backflow protections. Customers equipped with backflow preventers would be charged a monthly fee of $2.84 per device. This fee is to assist the district to maintain the program. This is not a new fee. This fee has been in place for over 15 years. Next slide, please. Staff recommendations. Staff recommends that the Board of Directors approve revision to the District Water Service Rules and Regulations, Article 17, the control of backflow and cross connections. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Joanne?
Yes, I have a question for Joanne. The $2.84, who would be getting charged for that?
It's for customer who has backflow preventer. So let's say for customer don't have that kind of backflow preventer, they will not be charged for that.
And would this be a typical single family residential building, or is it multifamily?
More like multifamily, industrial, and commercial customers.
Okay. And would this be a one-time charge or a monthly charge up to a certain time?
It's a monthly service fee.
And that would entail for West Valley Water District staff to maintain after that, or what does that cover?
It covers for us to maintain our cross connection control program, having staff to go out there to do site inspections, sending out annual reminder notice. They have to test and fix their backflow preventers.
And this fee has been charged to residents already?
Yes, over 15 years.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Joanne?
I did have one question. Joanne, you said 15 years and we're currently $2.84. Is there an increase in fee from that price?
I know our accounting department is working on, I'm going to let maybe CFO Bill to handle this question.
Oh.
We're planning on doing some fee assessments. This will be one of the ones that we'll look at, but at this point, we'll go forward with that rate until we've had a chance to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Hold on, re-explain that again.
The district is going to be doing a cost of service study, and we'll be taking a look at some of these miscellaneous fees at that same time. We'll come to you with a recommendation whether the existing fee is too high, too low, or if it's correct. But at this time, we haven't undertaken that study, but that was one of the initiatives that we laid out as part of the annual budget.
Right. So, but in order to look at this fee, do we need to wait for the cost study? I think that's part of what she's trying to get.
And the answer is I'd hate to make any kind of change until we've had an assessment, because then we'd have to do an adjustment.
So
I have outreach to consultants this week to get the thing started. And once we have a consultant selected, we'll come forward to the board with recommendation to move forward with it.
Okay. So we could, you just don't want to. That I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. We could, it's just that at this point in time, you want to wait until we get an overall study. But you could look at the issue and say, well, if you haven't raised the rates in 15 years, look at what people are charging adjacent, or look at the COLA, or look at some other index and come up with a new number that's probably more appropriate.
Yeah, Director Hawkins, that's a good thought. That might be something we could take a look at. We're going to take a holistic approach and try to address everything at the same time. For the short duration of time that we're talking about, a matter of months, we could leave it as is. But if it's the board's pleasure, we could take a look and come back with a recommendation.
If I could, I know that this came to the policy committee, and I also believe the engineering committee as well. And I believe the rationale is, because we've had some concerns about the backflow and that there was some old language that really needed to be updated in this particular article. So we were just kind of looking to get some of that language cleaned up more urgently. And then, as I think Bill was saying, we can look at those fees that we've been historically charging as a part of the larger study that we're going to look at when it comes to all of our rates and all of our service charges. But certainly if the board wants to hold off on discussion of this item, we can always postpone it, but I think there was kind of more urgency on staff to update some of the language. I think I'm kind of getting that right, correct?
Yeah, there's some concerns about some cross-connection, potential problems out there that we'd like to correct as soon as possible with the change in this policy.
And I would only add that when the cost of service study is done for these particular fees, it's much more straightforward than this is not a Prop 218 part. This is just completely cost of service. And I think your CFO mentioned that part of the adjustment will include not only inflation and things that you mentioned, Director Hawkins, but also making sure that that they are compliant with federal requirements. So in case we need to make an application to FEMA, we have pre-approved rates. Is that part of it?
That's correct. I think at this point, recommendation would be to hold until we have some better information and then make the correct adjustment.
Sorry, Dan. Yeah.
No, you answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? What's the board's pleasure? Do we want to move forward or table this, or?
So, just a clarification.
Yeah.
This slide points out to $2.84. Is that to continue to move forward and installing the backflow systems? Or, by doing the study, is it going to prevent us from applying the fee and going out there and installing the backflow system?
I would think that the work is continuing regardless. Again, what's before us is not the 284. It's more the updating of the language. I think they were just pointing out that we're not adjusting that current fee at this time because we want to take a deeper dive at that at a later time. But yeah, if you have more to add to that.
So the $2.84 is actually our current policy. So for any new customer or current customer with backflow assembly installed, they will have to pay that fee moving forward.
Okay, so nothing's going to change, but I guess my question is, if you already have a backflow system, you're not paying the $2.84?
You will be paying for it already.
You're paying for it, so it's already there.
It's already there.
Right.
Yeah, they're already paying that now.
No difference financially for the customer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But I do agree with the study. I mean, doing a study.
Well, and we kind of talked about that at the budget, so again,
Yeah.
it kind of wraps into all those discussions.
Good.
Again, this is just updating some of the more urgently needed language, right, John?
Right.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, just for clarification. So the double checks and the vacuum breaker itself, those aren't on single family residences. These are on multiple family residences.
Mostly multi-family home, unless a single family home has some severe backflow potential, or if they have some kind of dangerous chemical, then we will have to require them to install one, but it's not common.
Okay.
That's very rare.
very rare, probably. Yeah. All right. Anyone want to make a motion to adopt staff recommendations or to table?
I would like to make a motion that we adopt the changes as recommended by the staff.
Okay, we have a first. Do we have a second?
I thought we were going to amend it to include a study for the 284 in addition to accepting the language.
Well, the study isn't part of the this item.
Right. So the actual study is not part of this item. In fact, you're not touching the rate at all tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just updating the existing language. So we have a first. Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Okay. All right. We have a first and a second. Does anyone have any discussion or? Okay. All right. Call the roll.
Thank you. Director Garcia?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Moore?
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins?
Yes.
President Young?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. Item 19.
Yes, Socorro has a presentation for you on the state bond update and some ideas for some district action for your consideration.
Welcome back.
Good evening again, President Young, Vice President Jenkins, and Board of Directors. This evening, I'm presenting on agenda item 19, the state bond update. At our last External Affairs Committee, our state lobbyist, Senator Polanco, made our committee aware of 2 potential bills that could provide additional funding for water infrastructure projects and potential legislative vehicles for a bond. The first one is AB 1567 Garcia, the Safe Drinking Water, Wildfire Prevention, Drought Preparation, Flood Protection, Extreme Heat Mitigation, Clean Energy, and Workforce Development Bond Act of 2024. It's still in the process in the state legislature right now. But this bond they're looking at this bond to be on the March 2024 election. And it would provide 16 billion general obligation bonds. As you see, safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, drought prevention, flood protection, extreme heat mitigation, clean energy, workforce development programs. Currently, this bill is in the state Senate Natural Resource and Water Committee. Inaqua has taken a supportive amendment position, as well as CSDA has taken a watch position. And that's because they're right now currently in conversation with the author on these bills to add different components such as groundwater storage, support for groundwater banking, conjunctive usage, recharge, and other groundwater projects. Additional bill in the state legislature right now SB 867 by Ben Allen, which is a similar bill in the Senate. Currently, it's in the Assembly's Natural Resources and Water Committee, not the Senate. Sorry for that. So this bond is kind of the second vehicle for the bond. So this one would be on November 2024 election. So this one has a little more time if the other one doesn't get out of this session, this one would be able to get out by January of next year. So again, Aqua took a supportive amendment, and CSDA has a watch position on this bill for the same reasons. They're working with the author on it. So this evening, we appreciate direction from the board to the pleasure of this evening on positions on AB 5067 and SB 867, whether we want to align with Aqua's current position and engage in the conversation as the bills move forward through the legislative process. So with this, it will provide staff to provide letters of support, and we're working to identify district projects that could be potentially working with the author to identify in the bonds.
Okay, so since this isn't an action item, you're just looking for just general direction to possibly bring these back at a future date. Is that what you're asking for?
So what I'm asking tonight is next steps. If the board's pleasure to follow Aqua's position of supportive amended, we can engage with Senator Polanco in conversations with the authors, as well as we can submit letters from the district, and then coordinate support potential with Aqua and CSDA.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea. I just want to make sure, because it's only listed as an update, General Counsel. You kind of see where I'm going with that?
Right. So do you have a platform that gives direction to staff to take certain positions on bills?
We do. So on the dais, there is a legislative outreach handout book. In the handout book, there is on the back of the handout book, there's legislative principles that were adopted by the board last October.
Okay.
It does mention regarding bonds measures there. So the platform usually will give staff authorization on certain bills to take position, but some that might be a little more controversial or full board support, we do go to the board for that approval.
So because it's not on the agenda, those two particular bills, if it's something that it is just consensus of the board for you to implement this platform that says staff can do it, that's fine. But if you want the board to adopt a letter or resolution, that would have to come back.
Right, but that's the adoption of the actual letter.
Correct.
As opposed to giving staff direction to draft a letter and contact Aqua and bring a letter back for signature, or you could definitely do that.
Yeah,
that's part of your process in this. This book.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to clarify. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were staying within the guardrails.
Yes.
No, I mean, does anyone have any objections to that? I think we're all probably in agreement on it, right? Yeah. So definitely work on that, and we can bring it back at a future meeting to adopt after you have it ready for us.
Perfect. And we appreciate tonight's direction from the board. Public Affairs Department looks forward to engaging more regularly with on legislative updates as we staff up our department. I think it's important to bring updates to the board and letting them know what's going to Sacramento and DC. So as well as mentioned, we do have a handbook there. I hope that's a resource for the board with
Yes, thank you.
local legislators and our platform.
Yeah, thank you so much for this, Socorro, and thank you for all the hard work you and your department are doing. And yeah, we look forward to seeing those letters.
So without objection, you have directed staff to proceed with the legislative direction.
Correct.
Pursuant to your handbook.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, that takes us to item 20, last but not least.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a resolution approving the lifting of temporary freeze on hiring district personnel. This resolution that rescinds a previous resolution, 2020-1, back in January 16th of 2020, that provided for hiring restrictions for vacated positions. So with your approval of this resolution tonight, I think we'll return to what I would say is our more typical process here, and which for me, includes keeping the board fully informed on vacancies, recruitments, and hiring. And in addition, we have a standing HR committee. And my intention is to provide more detail to that committee. And that would include thoughts on job description changes in reporting structures, titles, etc. And then that committee can report out, or I can report out to the full board. And also as part of my GM report, and there'll be an example of this in just a few minutes, I plan to provide a brief staffing update. And so that'll give the board an idea of the kind of updates I'm planning to provide. And I think that it's pretty much going to be at every board meeting. We'll almost certainly have something going on at some stage in the process, likely multiple items, a vacancy, a recruitment. So I just want to keep the board updated, and I'll have our current update here in a few minutes. And this will also give the board a heads up on what we're doing. And if you know someone interested in working here, you can help us get the good word out. And also just another thought, it's been my past practice in my career, whenever there is a staff vacancy, is to take some time to consider that vacancy, the position. Does it need to be filled? Is it in the right department? Is it in the right place? Is it the right position? Is it the right time to fill this position? So I would discuss this with the hiring manager and others, and really ask for a justification statement. Sometimes these are brief, sometimes not so brief, and always to keep the board updated as well. So with your approval, I'm planning to implement this process here, and at the same time with this process, I won't be delaying the recruitment of a position that is certainly, or perhaps obviously needs to be filled as soon as possible. So with that, some thoughts, and the staff recommendation is to approve and adopt Resolution 2023-13.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, I mean, this was an item that we had put in place because of some prior issues and concerns, but now that we have John here, and it's a much different day, and it's now time to rescind those restrictions. So as promised to the board previously, we were going to bring this forward at the first opportunity after John arrived, and that's what's on the docket for us right now. So does anyone have any questions on that?
I have a question, a parameter, basically.
Yeah.
Do we have a concurrent position control that you guys run with that gives you all your positions, where they're at, who's open?
Oh, we do.
Days left open, that type of thing. That would be a reporting that we could use.
Okay.
An HR committee.
HR committee.
Yeah,
So
definitely
that'd
to
be
HR committee. We had a little peek at that during the budget workshop, so we'll continue that. And
something else about this policy particularly, I mean, the reason why it came about is, to say that there was just a few problems with not be a full account of what was occurring. And this measure, one of the most challenging things with being a board member is to have to do things that you hate to do, right? It's like what they say is sometimes you got to take your medicine and don't taste good. We've had this policy in place for a few years now. It has really been a stopgap that has existed longer than we all anticipated at the time. And that this really speaks to a different day that we're in here at West Valley. And it's going to be imperative for the general manager, the hiring managers, and others to be able to exercise this level of trust and this level of autonomy in making decisions. This is the correct way. This is the way, the normal way. This is the way it's supposed to be. And I'm glad that we're finally here. And I have full faith and confidence in Mr. Thiel and being able to implement this, hopefully.
For sure.
Also with, HR and Miss Haiti Sands and overseeing this process and ensuring that it is fair, it is a reflection of the values of our organization. And, I look all steam ahead, but this is something in most organizations is rather routine. But in this organization, this is a significant step forward. So, yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a comment.
Sure.
Finally. But I do appreciate that you will, as you mentioned earlier, you will take a look at the operational needs of each of the vacancy and determine whether the vacancy really does need to be backfilled or vacated or repositioned in other places that are needed based on your evaluation of how the department's being run and in consultation with the HR committee. But I do appreciate that we are moving in a good direction, in a direction where I see just good things happening. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. If there's no more questions or comments, can I get a motion on approving the resolution number 2023-13?
I'm making a motion to support.
We have a first by Director Hawkins. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Director Garcia. No discussion. Call the roll.
Thank you, Director Garcia.
Yes.
Director Hawkins.
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins.
Yes.
And President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right. Okay, that concludes our business items. We'll go now to board reports. Does anyone have any reports? Dan?
Thank you. First, I want to say is happy birthday to my wife.
Oh.
And it's
you can
with
go home now.
Yeah, I can go home. It's with her support is why I'm here. So I want to first mention that if she's listening today. Next, I'd like to ask, with the board's approval, I would like to attend an event that Director Hawkins also attended, which is the water education for Latino leaders called WELL, and it's a series of events over the next few months. So I'm asking for the board's approval for me to attend the event.
And it's not so much an event. It's like
I apologize. It's an educational.
It's an education.
Journey.
Series.
Or journey. There we go. Yes, educational.
That was the best way I could describe it.
Right. But I don't know if we give approval right now. I think you just put it in and.
I mean, if there's any objection.
Oh
maybe,
well, I don't
any
know
concerns?
I don't know if we can. Formally.
Yeah.
Take action on anything, but it sounds like a wonderful idea and submitted according to the normal process.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be well within a board member's right to participate. I just think he was just wanting to ask.
Oh,
us
yeah. It sounds like a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds wonderful, generally speaking.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, good luck. I know hearing Channing's report, it's going to be a lot of work for you too.
It is.
But it should be very rewarding though too.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. Angela, do you have anything to report?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Kelvin, you have anything tonight?
I want to thank Public Affairs for bringing some water for the Juneteenth that they had here, the first ever in Rialto, and it was a blaring success. It was more folks there than we ever thought it would be. So, and it was a great time. So, thank you.
Channing, do you have anything tonight?
Nothing else.
Okay. All right. I hope everybody had a happy 4th of July. I don't really have anything else for tonight, so I'll turn it over to the General Manager for your report.
Thank you. I'd like to report out on some meetings attended and some scheduled, district staffing, legal transition to BB&K, and our strategic plan. Starting out with the meeting we had with Congressman Norma Torres last week, Socorro and I attended a roundtable hosted by Norma along with staff from other area water agencies in her district. She outlined her priorities, and those include water security, innovation, infrastructure, climate change, and water retention. So we did bring forward some of our projects, and we'll follow up on projects that align with her priorities. And those include SCADA, water line and well upgrades, water quality, and groundwater storage projects that are in the works. So, Socorro, thank you. I made some really excellent contacts out there, and we really appreciated the invitation from the Congresswoman. She really wants to understand our projects, our programs, and our challenges here, and wants to help us get funding in order to get our projects completed. So looking forward to working together with her and our other area agencies. That was really a great connection. Looking ahead, I have meetings already set up with IEUA and Valley Water, many more to come. And also, just a heads up to the board members, I'll be reaching out next week to set up some one-on-one meetings and make them recurrent on some schedule, as you wish, perhaps monthly, as desired by each one of you. So I'll be in touch next week. On to staffing updates. Just going to run down the status of some positions. Assistant Water Systems Operator in meters. We have a new hire coming Monday, July 17th. And we're for Associate Engineer with a PE. This is currently posted and scheduled to close on July 29th. It's been hard to get engineers on board, and we're having issues in recruiting them, and so are other area agencies. But we took a look at our postings, our job description, our compensation is right there, so I think we're doing everything that we can do at this point. But it's just a tough market out there. A few more days left on that. We'll see how we do. Senior engineer, similar situation, is currently posted and scheduled to close on Saturday, July 29th as well. Lead water systems operator, that's currently posted and scheduled to close on Saturday, July 22nd. Good turnout so far on this one with 11 applications. Government and Legislative Affairs Manager. This position is currently open until filled. And as of today, we have 14 qualified candidates that were screened down from 51 initial applicants coming through NeoGov. So that's looking good. For executive assistant, this has been an open position for many days, a year or more, I believe. With your action on the resolution today, I'll be getting with Elvia and Bill on this position, discuss needs, make sure the job description addresses those needs, and go on from there. And then also wanted to mention that yesterday was Van's last day here, and we had a nice send-off for Van, and we again thanked him for his service here, and especially over the last year as interim GM, and wish him the best. Again, planning to meet with staff, assess the position and the job description, and work with the board and go on from there. I'll certainly be consulting and keeping the board and the committee updated on this, really a key position for the district. Any comments, questions on this staffing update?
Any questions?
No? Moving on to legal services, our transition to BB&K is going really well, I think, and that's thanks to Jeff and our staff here and AGC. Also, we had just wanted to give the board a heads up, we had a legal review meeting with Jeff and our executive team a little earlier today to discuss transition items and identify and track current and future needs, actions, and issues, and just all of our legal needs. And I did this before as well. I'm planning to do this at least on a monthly basis. We'll see, what the needs are. But that was a great meeting today, and I'll be sharing that with the board in the future as well. And finally, strategic plan. We received a draft strategic plan from Greg Larson, and it looks like and I'm planning to meet with our executive team here in the next week or two and go over that draft and get people thinking about it. And I question for the board, would the board like to see this draft now, or would you like to wait until September when Greg Larson is out for a couple months now? So I can send you the draft now, or we can wait until September and reconvene in a workshop setting. What's your pleasure?
Workshop, or wait, or see it now? It sounds like workshops. Kind of
okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep you updated when we get a little closer. And
please.
Greg gets back from Europe, I believe. So that's all I have for today.
All right. Thank you so much, John. All right. Legal counsel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. Wanted to first go off by saying that there was no reportable action on the closed session items under 54956.9B, as well as under 54957.6. I wanted to just briefly touch upon, and I passed out on the dais, and this is certainly a public document and can be made available to the public, just a worksheet that I've used with a number of clients, and you can use it or not, but it kind of walks the board members through how to use virtual meetings now that the pandemic and state of emergency has been lifted. So I'll just briefly go over, there's really two main options now. After COVID-19, the pandemic has been, knock on wood, is over. AB 361, which provided, as you know, very flexible virtual meetings, is over. So now we're down to really two basic ways to use virtual or teleconference meetings. So on page 1, capital letter A, the standard teleconferencing rules. These were the rules that have been in place for many, many years prior to the pandemic. Those are still available. And, the bottom line there is we need to know, at least, in advance of the meeting, enough for the posting of the agenda, that you wish to teleconference so that the location of the meeting can be included on the agenda. And we go through the regular script of making sure that the place is open to the public if anybody wishes to be where you are for that meeting. And all votes are by roll call. And you could do those by audio or by video. The new rules about virtual don't apply to the old rules. The old rules still apply. And when I want to make the point that really this is going to be your main go-to for if you wish to participate in the meeting when you're not in person. Item B, which starts on the bottom of the page, virtual participation under AB 2449. This is the only option available now for using virtual or Zoom participation where you do not have to list your location on the agenda. So, as during the pandemic, we didn't list everybody's location on the agenda. That was a virtual meeting under a previous rule. The only way that you can do that now is if you follow the rules for 2449. And what I'm going to recommend is at the beginning of the agenda format, have a little item that says if there's any request to use this virtual meeting attendance. Because this can be asked or requested right up until the time of the meeting. So there's two main options for this. One would be, and going to page 2, a just cause option. And this can only be used for virtual meetings where you don't have to put your location on the agenda, and can be done up to the very last minute of the meeting starting. If there's a child care matter, a contagious illness, you need to attend remotely due to a physical or mental disability, or you're traveling while on the official business of this board, of this agency. But you can only use this just cause twice in a year. Not each of these 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4 options twice. It's just twice a year just cause. The other exception would be for an emergency. If you're experiencing an immediate physical or family medical emergency that prevents you from attending, you don't have to explain what that emergency is, just a general description of something that's come up at the very last minute and it's an emergency. This is something that also can be done right up until the meeting starts, which probably would be the case for a sudden emergency. But this would be voted on by the board. The just cause, you can use those. The board doesn't vote. The emergency, the board does vote. Although I don't, foresee the board voting that down. That doesn't have the 2 per year limit that the just cause does. But you can't use a sudden emergency on a regular basis, because then it's would become questionable. And so the law says that regardless of whether you're using the just cause or the emergency, you may only you cannot participate remotely for a period of more than 3 consecutive months or 20% of regular meetings for the year. So if you use your 2 just cause, but you all of a sudden have a last minute emergency on a regular basis, which would the board would question that. But in theory, there is a cap on all of that together. So the last point that I want to make is we can still have, and it's recommended to have, Zoom virtual participation by members of the public, by consultants, by attorneys, by anybody other than board members, unfortunately. All of these rules apply to board members. So the use of a virtual meeting for convenience no longer applies to board members. It would only apply under the constraints of these 2 different things now that I put in this worksheet. So we'll get you there. We'll get you through the process. If you ever have one of these come up, certainly contact yourself. Whether or not you have the worksheet handy, we'll walk you through it. So that's all I have today, Mr. President.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Does anyone have any questions on that? Yeah, again, thank you for giving us this.
I'm always available.
Excellent. All right. With that being said, that brings us to the end of the meeting. So thank you, everyone, and everybody have a good evening. We're adjourned.